Okay, here we are. The magazine's a little bit apart, but it's a very beautiful magazine. I mean, look at the nice picture on that. That's one of the front covers. And this one is April 16th of 1891. So this is 123 years old. Wow, 123 years old. And Jennifer here is 23. She reads my stories for me and stuff. She says, wow, that's 100 years before me. But this is it. Nice picture. I like this. Okay, so this one's a little bit more apart. I don't know why, the cover is anyhow. So we're going to read A Wonderful Escape. Okay, and you've already met Jennifer. She's the one who's going to read this to you.
While I was in the national park last summer, writes a correspondent, I went on horseback one day with 5 others and a guide to the canyon and falls of the Middle Gardner. And because of an adventure which befell one of our number there, we shall probably remember that point more certainly than any other in the park. When we reached the Gardner Canyon, we dismounted, hitched our horses to 3 trunks, and walked out along the cliffs to obtain a view of the river and the rocky gorge. 1,200 feet below us, the turbulent Gardner foamed, milky white among the rocks and rapids, a rich green in the smoother channel. It seemed to be but a brook which we could step across, and not a stream 100 feet wide, as the guide assured it was. At length we began tumbling huge pieces of loosened rock down the canyon side. They rolled down with heavy, thunderous sound. They struck against tree trunks, started great boulders from their resting places, made long leaps as they hit some obstruction, and bounded high into the air, and finally crashed into the stream, awakening the echoes of the rocky gorge. When the rest of us were tired and worn from the work, my brother Arthur and the guide continued the rock rolling further down the canyon. Arthur was 17 years old, well developed and remarkably strong in his arms, as he should have been after his fine gymnastic training. He was prying and lifting at a large boulder. The guide had left him and gone alone. I sat facing my brother, watching his efforts. I saw the boulder start. Arthur bent to give it a final push on its downward course. He lost his balance and uttered a cry of terror and disappeared over the edge of the canyon. I sprang to my feet, shrieked, and ran toward the spot where he had fallen. My first wild impulse was to leap after him, but someone seized my arms and held me back. We peered down, rocks ragged, ledged everywhere. We could see nothing else at that moment. Arthur's voice was heard. "Help, quick," he shouted. "I'm caught in a tree." "Keep your halt, young man," cried the guide. "We'll soon heave safe out of thee." We could not agree, Arthur, from where we stood, but the top of the tree to which he was clinging was just visible. The canyon wall, for 300 feet from the top, inclined at an angle of about 60 degrees and then fell off a sheer precipice for 500 feet to the ugly ragged pulse of rocks below. When Arthur fell, he slid headfirst down this inclined plane and then toppled over the pierce. There was a solitary cedar growing from a crevice in the steep wall. Fortunately, he fell in such a way that he was able to seize the cedar limbs, and there he now hung in midair. We had no ropes, and without them there was no way to rescue him from his perilous position. There was necessity for immediate action, although his strong arm stood him in good stead. In this emergency, we ladies tore our dress skirts into strips, knotted them and the bridles together, and thus made a sufficiently strong rope which reached down to Arthur. Fortunately, our guide was a skillful lass thrower, and he succeeded not without difficulty in putting the end of the rope within Arthur's reach. Despite the danger of his position, Arthur had been cool and collected through it all, offering suggestions about his rescue. Once he had the rope within grasp, he slowly and cautiously pulled himself up. His clothing was in rags, and he had numerous scratches. Otherwise, he was none the worse for his perilous exploit.
Wow, what a nice story. An adventurous story. Very good. So stay tuned. Be sure to sub me, and we'll bring you some more from the Used Companion magazine of 1891. Bye-bye now.